Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our class today. I'll just talk a little bit about our theme before we get started. So today's class is called Grounded, Calm in Chaos. And I don't know about everybody else, but I've been having some issues here and there with feeling grounded in my body or just feeling present. And so that's why I really selfishly needed this class, especially today. I feel a little activated, and this will be a good class for me to teach. So what we'll be doing different somatic practices, which just means somatic meaning of the body. So I've been doing some work with my friend Nicole, who is a somatic practitioner, and I find these exercises really helpful. They're super simple, and they're things that we often do in our yoga class. One being orienting to our environment. So just taking a minute and just looking around. You can orient through your 5 different senses. For me, eyes is an easy one. I've got my eyes open and I can just start to look around and start to notice the different things around me, maybe turn around, and that can help you just kind of connect. I'll also be getting us to connect to our bodies. So going inward and feeling how I feel in my body. So right now I feel a little bit of tension in one shoulder. It tends to always kind of be there. Oh, a couple more people coming in. So we'll be doing that. And then for yoga postures, I've chosen postures that are really grounding. Balanced postures develop mental focus and stability. And then the forward folds are extremely nourishing to our nervous system. So as we stretch our back body, you're stretching your kidney adrenals, which are kind of our stress organs, right? They're pumping out all this adrenaline and all the different stress hormones. So when we stretch our back body, it's really nice to just invite the back body to relax and stretch and just let it know that it can take a little break. All right, so as I'm offering up these grounding practices today, it's your job to see how it lands in your body. Okay, so when I'm offering something, I want you to just notice, does this have a settling effect? Does it make me feel more connected? Or does this make me feel a little activated, a little energetic? There's no right or wrong. But you're going to start to see which tools work for you, that you can bring them into your life off your mat when you need some grounding. And you'll see which tools, they don't really resonate with you, and that's okay. Awesome. So ready to get started? Let's lie down on our bellies. So we're going to start a little bit differently in a belly shavasana today. So you're going to lie down. And I want you to take your hands and stack one hand on top of the other, making a hand pillow. And you're going to rest your chin or your forehead onto your hands. I'm going to keep my head up so that you can hear me, but I'll demonstrate quickly. You would be resting your head down so that you can feel relaxed through your upper body. And I want you to take a minute to arrive to this position. So you don't have to set the position right away. Feel free to wiggle your hips. Feel free to make any other movements that are going to help you settle into this pose. Maybe you want to just lift your head and turn it a little bit side to side, loosen up, and then settle back down. And you're letting yourself relax. So notice what feels good for your legs. Does it feel good to roll your heels open? Just letting the legs relax. Or is your natural tendency to have your heels rolling in? Toes out. And start to shift attention inward by closing the eyes. And start to become aware of the earth beneath you, the ground beneath you. What are you lying on? What is your body coming into contact with? Your yoga mat? And then start to explore the layers below you. So there's your yoga mat, but what is underneath that? You can think about the flooring that you have and what would be underneath that. Start to take awareness, start to connect to what is below you. Eventually, beyond the foundation of your house, you would hit earth. And start to bring your awareness back up to the surface of the earth, your body lying on the earth, connected to your yoga mat or your towel or your carpet, whatever you're on. Start to bring awareness to how it is that your body comes into contact with whatever it's lying on. So notice the areas that feel a little heavier. Maybe they have more contact with the earth. So that bottom hand, you can probably feel pressing into the earth. Notice the parts of your body that might not even be touching the earth. The front of the throat, mine is free, it's not connected to the earth. And start to let your awareness drift into your body, away from the connection of the earth. And checking in with your physical body, how does it feel this morning? Maybe you're drawn to a certain area. Maybe something is calling out to you, and I invite you to let your attention drift to that area that feels a little louder in the body this morning. Maybe that's because there is some tension, or maybe it's free of tension, but it just wants you to put attention there. Wherever your mind drifts, whatever part of your body you're focusing on right now, try to think about the different layers of your body. So where is the sensation that you're drawn to? Is it at the level of your skin? Is your awareness drawn a little deeper to the connective tissue beneath the skin or the muscles, or is it feeling a little deeper all the way to the bone? Wherever you're drawn to, is there a border? So to this area, do you feel that there's kind of a border where on the outside of that border, maybe there's less sensation? Is that border strong? Is it defined? Is it blurry? And then start to bring awareness to the outside of that border, away from wherever you were focusing, and start to explore a different part of your body. Maybe take awareness to something that's being really quiet, that you barely notice. Then start to bring awareness to your breath. Focusing in on your breath. So when we're in this belly shavasana, I find it really easy to sense the breath moving in and out of the body. We've got the feedback of the earth. And as you breathe, you don't need to change your breath in any way. And start to notice how the breath moves you, shifting the weight differently along the earth as you inhale and exhale. And what about how we move into the space around us, the space above us as we breathe? And before we start to move through our practice, I want you to set a personal intention for your class, a personal focus. What is it that you're trying to cultivate more of? Surround that intention with your awareness, with your breath. And start by wiggling your toes. Good. And just repeat silently to yourself, my toes are here. And then start to slowly bend your knees, taking your feet up towards the sky. And windshield wiper your legs. Take your legs side to side. Starting to explore some slow movement in the body. We're going to feel this in our hips. We're going to feel this in our lower back. And let's make the movement a little bit more conscious. I want you to keep the sole of the foot, the inner arch of your foot, connected to the opposite leg. So you're going to slide the sole of the foot down the opposite shin or calf and up. And then you're going to do the opposite on the other side. So we're just starting to stimulate some energy in the bottom of the feet. In the feet, the feet. I'm starting to talk like Alex. Good, so feeling that energy, a little bit of friction, maybe feeling some heat coming into the bottom of the feet. And then bring the tops of the feet back down to the mat. You're setting your legs up so they're straight behind you, hip distance apart. And we're gonna roll the heels to the sky. Tops of the feet are grounding into the earth. And as you roll your heels to the sky, you're gonna feel your pubic bones start to root down to the earth. So you can play with that a couple times. If you're new to the class, you could roll your heels out. Notice what happens in your pubic bone. Roll your heels up to the sky. Feel that grounding. Okay, so when we roll the heels open, there's a little floating of the pubic bone. It starts to lift away from the earth. We want to ground down through the pubic bone so we can find stability for our lower back. And then you're going to take your hands back by your rib cage. So start to peel them back and way back. Think in line with your chest, not under your shoulders. Good. And tuck your elbows into the sides. We're coming up into a baby cobra position. And as you do this, I want you to use the muscles of the back body. You're not peeling back with the back of the head. So tuck your chin, find length for the back of the neck. And we're going to start to slowly, eyes open, look over your right shoulder in this little baby cobra. And then drop your chin down, little half circle over to the left. Looking over left shoulder. And then take your gaze forward. And we're going to do the opposite. Look over your left shoulder. And start to drop your chin down across your chest. Opening up the back of the neck. Look over right shoulder. And then take your gaze forward. Let's come down and take our little hand pillow. Just relax your back before we do that again. Rock your hips out or do your windshield wiper. Preparing for that baby cobra again, we're gonna take hands back by the chest, tuck the elbows into the body, open through your chest. We're not lifting up too high. We're not pushing into the hands, coming up into a full cobra. We're using our muscles. You could even lift your hands and you'd still be lifted in your baby cobra. Okay, so we're using a lot of core here. Strong legs behind you. Find the connection from big toe, inner thighs, right into your core. Good. Now this time when we do our little head circles, you're going to go at your own pace, whatever pace suits you. But as you do these little neck circles, I really want you to take in your environment. So look at everything as you go. And notice if you have the tendency for your eyes to kind of skip around the room. Do your eyes want to miss something? I know mine do. So I'm just gonna really anchor my awareness to what I'm looking at. I have to move a little slower for me to do this. You might be able to do this a little faster than I'm doing. Really taking in our environment as we go along. And next time you're looking forward, then you can relax your spine. You're going to push into your hands and you're going to just ripple back into a child's pose. And I want you to enjoy the transition. So move nice and slow, pushing your bum back towards your heels. Your knees can be together side by side, or you might like to have your big toes kissing and open your knees a little wider, getting into your hips. Reaching the hands forward, melting the forehead down towards the earth. So that first forward fold here in our child's pose, and I want you to breathe into your back body. So thinking about our kidney adrenals and the back body working so hard for us, let's invite the back body to relax. And as you're moving through poses and you're moving through different exercises, notice when the body relaxes on its own. Notice when something feels settling. Notice when you maybe take a bigger exhale, just kind of automatically the body softens. And notice when something feels a little more stimulating. Good. On your next inhale, we're going to push up to all fours, coming up to hands and knees. And we're going to spread the fingers nice and wide. And remember that little armpit of power that I talked about. So we're wrapping the upper arms towards the midline. We're not letting the elbows bow out. So you find that armpit of power. We're engaged there. Good. And we're going to let our chest sink. I'll come sideways so you can see this. We're just going to let our heart melt in between the arms. And then we're going to push the earth away and lift the rib cage. Okay, so the arm bone, you can see my arm bone is just kind of stationary. And I'm moving my rib cage down and up. So this is essentially what we did in the other class through seated. We were pushing our arms out. We were getting those little rhomboid push-ups. But now we're adding a little bit of weight to it. We're in a weight-bearing position here. So you're opening up the back of the heart as you lift your rib cage, and then you're letting your shoulder blades slip together as you melt your heart. Good, and then settle into a neutral position where you just feel a nice neutral spine, spreading your fingers and rooting down, grounding down through the pads of the fingers. Let's start to move the spine, cat-cow. On the inhale, lift the tailbone, open the heart, lift the gaze. On the exhale, tuck the tailbone, round the spine, bring the gaze to the navel. And starting to flow at your own pace with your own breath. Cat, cow. And then start to loosen it up a little bit. Add maybe some barrel rolls, just drawing circles with the tail and the head. So tapping into any areas that feel tight. Your body is going to know what it wants. You're going to listen to your body. You're going to make sure that if you're drawing those circles in one direction, that you go around in the opposite direction a few times as well. Okay, coming back through neutral, let's give ourselves a little rest for our wrists. We're gonna shift the weight back for child's pose again. We're gonna take a different variety of child's pose, reaching arms forward. You're gonna look towards your hands and you're gonna bring your hands together, palms together in prayer. And then you're gonna let your head settle down towards the earth. It may or may not touch. You're gonna bend your elbows and bring your hands to the back of the head. And so it looks like you have a little shark fin on the top of your head. And this is a great way to stretch through our armpits, our upper arms, our chest. And if you want deeper sensation for those triceps, you're gonna walk your elbows a little closer and towards the top of your mat. Walk your elbows away from you and melt your heart down. And feel the connection of palms together. And try wiggling your toes in this position. My toes are here. And taking the hands back to the mat. And you're going to use that to push up to all fours. Doing a strengthening posture. We're going to find tabletop. So find that little armpit of power, rotating your arm bones, externally rotating them, wrapping armpits towards your face. And we're going to pour the weight into our left knee and extend right leg behind us. And try not to lift it up too high. We want to have the hips even. And as you're here, you could rotate your ankle, right ankle, circles. Finding long line through leg, spine, all the way to the crown of the head. Make sure you roll the opposite way a couple times. Okay, if you want more of a challenge, try adding the opposite arm for a couple breaths. Make sure you can still have a smile on your face if you're going deeper. So this is a balanced posture. Balance poses don't mean that we're always just balancing on our feet. We're using our hand, we're using our shin, our knee, the top of the foot. Good, lower it down. And you can shake out your wrist. Go into the other side, extending left leg behind us. Good, and I'm sending energy through the big ball of the big toe. And your toes are facing the earth. You're not letting your heels start to, or so your toes or your hips start to peel up. Good, nice and strong through your core activated. And feel free to roll out that ankle, just finding that connection. Find the connection of inner thigh into core to crown of the head. If you want to add the opposite arm, you can. It's not a requirement, you don't have to. Check in with your body. So for me, this is a balance posture, but it's building heat in my body and it's kind of activating me right now. How does this land in your body? How does this feel for you? Woo, all right, let it go. Bring the knee down, bring the hand down, take the weight off that. What was our strengthening wrist there? And then shift back into a child's pose, taking your bum back towards your heels. Walk your hands forward. And really let yourself enjoy this one. Let your head relax. Imagine anything that's no longer serving you or anything that's stressing you just melting off of your back. Let it melt off the shoulders. And coming into a little bit more active variety of this child's pose, you're going to take your gaze forward. You're going to walk your hands over to the right side of your mat so that we're opening up left side body. And I want you to melt your head and your heart down towards the earth. And as you're there, think about tacking a little bit of weight through your left hip, through your left armpit. Just imagine those areas grounding, sinking. So you can especially do this focusing on your exhale, getting a deeper side bend, this deeper sensation of opening for left side body. And taking gaze up towards your hands, walk your hands through center. We'll do the other side, walking them off to the left side of the mat. And then letting yourself melt down, snuggle back down into the earth. Feel that weight come through your right armpit, elbow, forearm, hip. Try focusing on your exhale. Again, you don't have to change it in any way, but just focusing on that settling, shifting, softening of the exhale. And take your gaze up towards your hands, walk them through center. We're going to push up to all fours, coming onto hands and knees, and tap the tops of the feet, bringing circulation into the lower limbs. We're going to make our way to standing. So I want you to take some time to get there however you would like. So you might come through standing in a downward facing dog position. You might want to just use your hands to assist you coming up through sort of a lunge. However you want to do it, take your time. Enjoy the transition of getting up to your feet. Maybe you want to hang in a little forward fold for a breath or two before you come all the way up. Good. Making your way up to mountain posture. So mountain posture, we're standing on both feet hip distance apart. That's your hip bones, not the outside of your hips. Line them up under the bones. And look down at your feet. Physically look at your feet, wiggle your toes. My toes are here. And check that your feet are parallel. Notice if you have a tendency for your feet to turn out or your feet to turn in. And see if you can lift up all 10 toes. So you're rooting down through the balls of the toes and the heels, the four corners of the feet. Spreading those toes if you can. Can you control your toes? It's actually difficult. And see if you can lay your toes down, starting with your pinkies, and then the ring toe, the middle toe, what would be your pointer toe, and your big toe. So you spread your toes out like little Flintstone feet. So we've got little wider, fatter feet now. Good, and then feel energy drawing up through the arches of the feet. Okay, so notice if you're kind of rolling in and collapsing on your inner arch. Okay, so try to spread the weight evenly over the feet. And just take a moment, maybe close your eyes, arms at your sides. And check in with your alignment without looking. Do you feel centered? Do you feel grounded? Where is the weight? Does it feel heavy on the balls of the feet? And we spread the weight evenly over the four corners of the feet. We get the pelvis back over the heels. Okay, so if we tend to lean a little forward on the balls of the feet, chances are the pelvis is pushing forward, spilling our guts forward. So let's bring that pelvis back. And then we're this beautiful aligned spine. We're ready for gravity to move through us. We should be able to stand tall with ease. Then what about our upper body? What's going on there? So remembering that armpit of power. So we do that when we're, armpit of power is just finding external rotation of the upper arm bones. So if I internally rotate, my shoulders pop forward and I hunch. And if I externally rotate my arm bones, that just naturally gets my alignment so that my head comes over my heart. Beautiful. You might take your palms forward, spread your fingers, wiggle your fingers. My fingers are here. Stand for just a couple breaths, receiving energy from your environment. Let your eyes be open and look around you. Let your gaze drift to whatever is in the room. If you're outside, whatever is in front of you outside. If you're inside, notice the height of your ceiling. Good. Feel free to turn your head. You don't have to keep the head forward. Feel free to turn the head and look around. Beautiful. And let yourself just relax for a second. You can maybe place your hands on your hips. I'm going to demonstrate quickly the next sequence because we're going to do some balanced postures. And I want you to see what you're doing before I talk you through it, so you have a visual of where you're going. You might also want to have a chair handy if you know that you need the help of a chair. So quickly, the sequence that we're going to do is we're going to cross the legs. You don't need to do, you're just watching. We're going to find a forward fold to start. And I'm going to get you to do a little side bend in that forward fold. This is great for the IT band. So if you get tight from walking or sitting in chairs. And then we'll come up, arms will reach overhead. We'll do another side bend. And then we're going to take it into our eagle pose. And then we're going to soar out of eagle and we're going to come into crane. Remember Karate Kid? Right? Karate Kid pose. And then we're going to take it into tree. So we're going to connect some balance postures. We're going to do that in a nice, mindful, grounded way. So let's start by grounding ourselves in our Tadasana. Feeling that weight. You're going to do it with me now. That's right. You're going to feel that weight just shift a little bit over the heels. So that weight's nice and even over four corners of your feet. Good, and then we're going to take our right leg and cross it over the left. So if I'm in front of you, it's going to look like I'm doing opposite. I'm doing my right, you're doing your right. Right leg over left. And try not to dump all of the weight into your hips. See if you can press down into the earth, root down to rise up. Okay, so we're nice and tall, inner thighs are squeezing together. And then we're going to do that fold. I want you to take your hands to your hip creases. So I've got my fingers and I'm going to push on my hip crease, encouraging the fold to happen there, the pelvis tilting forward so that I'm not folding and rounding at my spine. I want to come forward. I'm taking my weight back. Good, so I'm not toppling forward. Weight towards your heels. Feel free to soften or bend your knees. Maybe your hands come to a chair. Maybe your hands can come comfortably to the earth. That doesn't mean you're a better person. Wherever we are is good. Good, and wherever you are, your legs are crossed. I want you to walk your hands over to the right side of your mat. Okay, and push out through your left hip, feeling lots of sensation and opening through the left side of the hip, maybe down the outside of the thigh. You can let your head hang. I'm up on fingertips for height, so I can't have palms flat. You could use a block, you could use your chair. If you want to take this a little deeper, you're going to bend through your right knee, and maybe you're going to straighten a little bit through your left leg. So the leg that's behind might be a little straight without locking the knee. Don't want to hyperextend the knee. And you can bend into that right knee. Oh yeah. Good, let's start to prepare to come up. Okay, we've got a little narrow base here because our feet are crossed, so I want you to really gather the strength, root down to rise up. You can take your hands to your thighs for support. Ooh. If you feel dizzy, exhale through an O mouth. That's a grounding breath. Good. Reaching up, arms overhead. We're going to get a hold of our right wrist, and we're going to dive over to the left, pushing your hips over to the right. Try not to collapse your heart. If you had a laser beam on your heart, it would be shooting forward. You're sending love out into the room, into the world. Good, on an inhale, let's come up nice and tall. Take your arms out to the sides and you're gonna cross right arm under left. You can bend your elbows and place your hands on the tops of the shoulders. Maybe give yourself a little hug, a little massage. So some loving self-touch goes a long way. And again, you can have that really directed, focused awareness. As you're touching your skin, you can think about the different layers. Think about maybe energy that goes down to the connective tissue, the muscles, the bones. And coming into your full eagle pose, you can keep hands here, or you might want to try to do the bind. Wrapping forearms, palms come towards one another. They might not reach, they might only get here, that's okay. And then you're gonna shift your weight back and down. So you're sitting into an imaginary chair. We're balancing, we're grounding, we're focusing in our eagle pose. You can keep right toes on the earth, or you might lift them for more of a challenge. Keep those inner thighs glued together. Nice. Maybe lift your elbows for deeper sensation. Okay, let's see if we can focus and unwind and come into Karate Kid pose, or come into the crane posture. Arms out, you can loosen it up. Good. And then from here, let's go into tree. Without using your hand to help your foot, I just want you to take it to your calf. So you're not gonna crank it up as high as you might normally go. We're just going to be really honest in our pose today. And we're just going as far as the leg can move without the help of the hand. Good. Are you guys still breathing? Good. Add a little smile. Good, let's release this. I bet that standing leg is ready to throw a little tantrum. Shake it out. Yeah, throw that tantrum. Shake out your arms, shake out your legs. And then let yourself settle into mountain pose again. Feeling head over heart, heart over hips, hips over heels. Close your eyes and draw your attention inward. Instead of this time to our environment around us, I want you to close your eyes. Or if you can do this with eyes open, you get bonus points. If you can focus energy into your body with your eyes open, I find that very challenging for myself. But you do what works for you. Just start to notice the tingly energy in your fingertips. Where else is your awareness drawn to in your body? What is calling out to you? Can you wiggle your toes? Good. Let's come into that sequence, balance sequence on the other side. We're going to cross left leg over right. Glue the inner thighs together. Use that upward lifting energy. And then start to fold at your hips. Fingertips on your hip creases. You're folding at your pelvis. Try not to lock or hyperextend the back of that back knee, your right knee. Keep a little micro bend in it. Hands might come to a chair, to a block, to a book, maybe fingertips to the earth. I'm a little tighter on this side, so I'm going to take it nice and slow. Really ride the wave of the breath. Feel the expansion of inhale, the grounding of exhale. Stretching out our whole back body. Forward folds are extremely nourishing to our nervous system. So they help to cultivate calmness. Start to walk your hands over towards the left side of your mat. Feeling some sensation for that right hip. Let your head relax. You can give it a little gentle yes, a little no. Feel free to slowly move into this a little deeper, thinking about pushing your right hip away from you. Maybe you want to bend into that left knee. You can straighten through your right leg. Try not to hyperextend the back of the right knee. A little micro bend. Preparing to come up through center, and just take note of how that forward fold made you feel. We're going to root down through the feet, so I'm actually going to look at my feet, and I'm going to use that rooting energy to rise up. So finding your strength. We were down there for a while, so exhale through an O mouth. Centering. Good. Keeping your legs how they are. We're going to reach the arms up, get a hold of the left wrist. Dive over to the right. We're opening left side body. Let the shoulders just gently tug down away from the ears. Rounding the shoulders down. Breathing into left side body. And on an inhale coming up, arms come down to the sides, and we're going to cross left under right. Give yourself that little self-hug. And you know the touch that you need. So you can experiment with a little maybe tighter squeezes. Maybe you need something looser, more loving, more gentle. The great thing is that you can feel what you need. You can give that to yourself. Good. And then preparing for eagle pose. You can keep hands there in the self-hug, or you can wrap the arms, forearms wrapping maybe backs of the hands towards one another, or maybe the full wrap with the palms coming to touch. And we're gonna sink back and down, coming into that imaginary chair. Try not to let the knees come forward. You wanna have the weight over the heels. Good. You guys look beautiful. You can keep top toes on the earth for support, or you could lift them for more of a challenge. Keep those inner thighs squeezing together. I know it's very strengthening. Okay, find some focus. You're gonna let your limbs unwind and come into crane posture. Knees nice and soft and bent. Find some buoyancy. Arms out to the sides. And then take it into your tree pose, letting your tree root down and grow up. You can take any variety with your hands. So you might want to take steeple. Maybe you're a pine tree this morning. Maybe you're an open palm tree blowing in the breeze. Maybe you're a little prickly cactus. All right, let's bring left foot back to the earth and shake the body out. Shake out that standing leg. And it's okay if you need to come out before I cue. That is perfect. I want to see you guys listening to your bodies. But let's make our way back down to the mat. We're gonna come sitting. I'll move my camera so you can see me. Getting there however you can. We're gonna come into bound angle. So bound angle will take the soles of the feet together. And I'm rocking a little side to side to find my sits bones. You can also give yourself a helping hand. You can grab all that goodness and you can pull it back and away. That's right, grab all that goodness. Good. You could also, if this doesn't feel supportive for your lower back, if you have trouble and the pelvis is kind of tucking under and you're fighting yourself to sit tall, I encourage you to roll up the back of your mat and sit on something that's a little higher, maybe a cushion or your rolled up mat. You just roll it up. That can help the pelvis come into more of a neutral position and make it a little more comfortable. Okay, we're gonna focus on our upper body first for this one. I want you to cross your right arm under your left, your right, I'm not mirroring. And then you're gonna get a hold of your shins or your knees. See what you can get a hold of. Nice strong grip. And then you're gonna let your knees fall open with gravity. And you're gonna start to relax your spine. So you're gonna tuck your pelvis under. Permission to tuck your pelvis. Permission to round your spine. Permission to drop your head forward. And as you do this, see if you can let your head relax just a little bit more. So with this crisscross of our arms, you're probably feeling something at the back of the heart or underneath your scapula, your shoulder blades. I want you to breathe into that area. Notice if your jaw is tight and clenching, or if it is soft. Sometimes if we're clenching our jaw, it means that we're asking a little too much of our body, so you might want to back out slightly. Good. For the last couple breaths here, rock your head side to side. And on your next inhale, you're going to lift up through the spine, let your pelvis start to come into neutral. And we're going to thread left arm under the right. So we're just switching the cross of the arms, nice strong grip of the knees or the shins. Let your knees fall open with gravity. We don't have to force anything. And start to round your spine, tucking first your pelvis, and feel that opening come into the back of the heart. Let your head relax forward. Oh, this is such a great one for any tension that we carry underneath our shoulder blades and our upper back. And it's a forward fold. We're stretching our back body. I want you to focus on your exhales. Just letting yourself release and relax and ground with that exhale. For the last few breaths, you're going to let your head just gently sway side to side, noticing how that changes the experience. How does that land in your body? Now let's use the buoyancy of the inhale to lift the head, to lift up through the spine. Release your arms out to the sides. Do a couple shoulder rolls. Notice which way you decided to roll your shoulders, back or forward. And then roll them the opposite way. Good. Taking your hands down to your shins. Maybe you can reach your ankles or your feet. Doesn't matter how far you get. You just take to where it's comfortable for your body. And find that gentle rock to get right up on your sits bones. If you need to give yourself a helping hand, you can pull any fleshy bits out of the way. And then we're going to start to tip forward. So getting that tip from the pelvis, if you want to take your hands to the bowl of your pelvis, so that we just really start to rock towards the front of your sits bones. Getting a nice stretch for the lower back. So we're not letting ourselves kind of round the spine this time. We're going to keep a nice tall spine. Different focus. We're coming down into the hips. We're stretching the back body. And you see where you get. Maybe your hands can come to the feet. Maybe you can open your feet like a little book and get in there and give yourself a foot massage. Use the pads of your thumbs to massage any spots that are calling out in the bottom of your feet, the tops of the feet. Oh. I always have one spot that's really tender. I'm going to have to look it up and see what reflexology point that is. I always think that every time I'm in this posture, and then I quickly forget to go look it up. Good, and for your next couple breaths, see if you can let your head relax. Eyes can be open, soft gaze, or you can curve your attention inward, closing the eyes. Ride the wave of your breath. Feel that lifting of the inhale, the settling and grounding effect of the exhale. Take your fingertips to the earth in front of you. And start to press into your fingertips. Use an inhale to slowly back out of this pose. Moving a little slower than you'd like to go. Really enjoying the sensation of coming out. Enjoying the transition. Again, you can take in your environment, eyes open. You can help your knees together. Hands come behind you for support. Feet together, knees together, let them tip to one side. Gentle windshield wiper side to side. Feel free to look over the opposite shoulder. Maybe pause, enjoy a little gentle twist. before doing the other side. And preparing to come down onto your back, you're going to scooch towards the top of your mat so that you can lie down with control. You can assist with your hands, so especially if you have some disc problems, you want to help yourself down, or you could use pure abdominal control, coming down one vertebrae at a time. And sometimes we get a nice little back adjustment as we come down. And once you're lying onto your back, you're going to hug knees to the chest. So this is similar to a child's pose, but we've got gravity working in a different way. And we can rock side to side and massage the back body. Think about massaging your sacrum. Take your hands onto your knees and draw some circles with your knees. So you really feel your sacrum coming into contact with the earth. You're going to feel little circles massaging that lower back. And start to go the opposite way, knees in opposite direction. Good. And start to spread yourself out into Shavasana. So Shavasana, or final resting pose, you might want to have your legs long, feet a little wider than your hips. You could think about sending the heels to the corner edges of your mat. If that doesn't feel safe or supported for your lower back, then I invite you to bend your knees. I invite you to modify the practice to suit you. And bringing awareness to your shoulder blades, shimmy your shoulder blades under your body. So notice if they're kind of riding high. Can you let them melt down your back and just connect your shoulder blades to the earth? Arms resting comfortably away from the body, palms up. Let your fingers naturally curl. You can take a couple minutes with eyes open if you choose, staring at what's above you, really taking in the different colors, textures that you see around you. If at any time your body is calling out for you to go inward, you can close your eyes and anchor awareness in the body. You might want to go back and forth a couple times, just experimenting. How does this land in my body? Do I feel more grounded and safe orienting outside of myself to my environment, what's around me? Or is the opposite true? Do I feel safer and more supported when I go inward? And there's no right or wrong. It could be different on any day. You might feel equally safe and supported orienting inside or outside. I want you to listen to the wisdom of your own body. And let your toes wiggle. My toes are here. Let your fingers wiggle. My fingers are here. Let yourself have a full body stretch. Take an inhale, arms overhead. Take your legs long and together. I am here. Mm. And gently draw one knee to your body and then the other. Take your knees nice and wide. Rock a little side to side. Feel the connection of back body to earth as you move around. And then let yourself roll to one side. Whatever side comes more naturally, listen to that body wisdom. Does it want to go left? Does it want to go right? And support your head with your bottom arm. Curl up into a cozy little ball. Snuggle down into the earth for a couple breaths. Taking note of how you feel after an hour of yoga. Before we move up to sitting, before we integrate fully back into our day, I want you to remember your purpose, your intention. What are you holding space for? What are you wishing to cultivate more of? And once you have that clear picture or feeling in your mind, start to extend your top leg. Use your hands to push into the mat so you can come up to seated. Settling into an easy seated pose, whatever that looks like for your body. Placing your palms together in front of your heart. Lifting your heart to meet your thumbs and then gently bowing your head forward. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, helping me to ground and feel connected. Namaste. I'm gonna hit